Hello， 谢谢大家今晚参加我们的这个活动。我感谢冬青，我们今天晚上用他的那个餐厅这边，真正的要感谢冬青的爸爸郭大哥，谢谢你。然后呢，那个阮总，谢谢你。还有这姚大哥 ，James 姚，谢谢你，谢谢你啊！我这个是第一次选到做这里的万锦如园县的国会议员，所以这个是第一个 fundraiser 帮我们的总理，所以我很高兴我们在我们的自己的华人的餐厅里面做这个活动，所以感谢冬青让我们来。我是希望我们跟明年再大一点，我们可以更做多几个活动，所以大家我们可以都一起参加，这可不可以？大家来所以我是学到以前是这里当警察，当了28年的警察，是退休了，现在来当国会议员，说是很高兴。我们的总理说是让我来参加，说是选到了。说是我很高兴，说是我们的总理呢，说是很怎么样说，open minded， 很有那个努力，可以知道我是可以帮忙，说是希望你们大家都可以支持，谢谢。这是我们的总理。我看今天晚上这个房间里面呢，有很多我的老朋友，认识了很久，还有很多新的朋友。我是希望我们都会变好朋友，对不对？对。谢谢，这是我们总理 ，Mr. Prime Minister. The audience is yours.
Thank you, Paul. I just want to say thank you, Paul. I want to say thank you very much, Paul, for choosing to step up and be part of this team, for running a great election campaign supported by many of you here in Markham, but also by the steady leadership and service that you've shown throughout your career that continues. Today I had the opportunity of sitting down with Paul and a number of community leaders to talk about gun violence and everything we need to do to keep our communities safe, which involves continuing with the measures that we've taken to get guns off of our streets with stricter gun control, continuing with our ban on assault weapons, moving forward on giving police more powers to stop guns from coming over our borders, but also more money to invest in communities to make sure the kids have better options, more after-school programs, those kinds of things that give the supports to keep our streets safer. And quite frankly, Paul, you've been an extraordinary voice for community and for Canada in fighting for that. So thank you very much, Paul. Can I say off the top how nice it is to gather all together in person again? It's been a long and difficult 2 years, and the fact that we're able to come together is really a reflection of how Canadians were there for each other over these past 2 years. It was extraordinarily difficult. There were times of real stress and real challenges, but at the same time, people were there for their neighbors. People were there for the frontline health workers. People were there for each other, for our elders. People stepped up and got vaccinated and wore masks and did the things that were necessary, not just to keep themselves safe, but to keep their communities safe and to make sure that Canada got through the worst of this pandemic in the best possible way as quickly as possible so we could get back to gathering again. And that's why I want to start with a big thank you to all of you for everything you did during this pandemic. Cieszę. Because this was a time to reflect on community and on family and on be there for each other. We all spent a little more time alone in our family groups than perhaps we would have liked to, and got to reconnect with people, but also got to think carefully about the things that matter to us and the things we want to build moving forward. And that's why I particularly want to thank all the small business owners, and I know this Chinese community has a lot of independent-minded small business owners, and the way you were there to support your community, to support your employees, the way the government was able to support you in supporting your neighborhood and your employees, made sure that we made it through this pandemic better than many other countries and bounced back from it faster. The United States has only recovered about 96% of the jobs that they had back in February 2020, whereas Canada is up at 117% of the jobs we lost back in 2020. And yes, the government being there to support people was part of it, and quite frankly, to be honest, all different orders of government working together to make sure we were there for each other and there for Canadians helped as well. But the big difference was Canadians, was all of you being there for your communities, there for your employees, there for your families. That's how we got through this pandemic, and that's how we're going to get through any and all challenges we're facing. Because we know the world is a more complicated and difficult place these days. On fait face à énormément de crises, que ce soit les changements climatiques, que ce soit la guerre en Ukraine, que ce soit l'inflation, les coûts de la vie, ou la pandémie qui continue. Il y a des énormes défis et on va passer à travers en étant ensemble. As you look around the world right now, you see that there are lots of challenges we're facing. The pandemic, which continues, and we're going to continue to make sure there are vaccines, make sure there are health measures to keep people safe as we continue through this pandemic. But also, we're facing the challenge of climate change, which has been there before, but is going to require us to continue to change the way we do things so we can not only protect our communities and our nature, but also take advantage of the economic opportunities that come with new innovations, with green jobs, with new opportunities in the world. We also have to deal with the outcome or the consequences of a war in Ukraine going on right now, where supply chains are disrupted, energy prices are up, grocery prices are up. Also contributing to that is the global inflation crisis. But every step of the way, Canadians showed how we deal with crises. We're there for each other. We lean on each other. We support each other. We trust in science. We trust in experts. We do the right kinds of things to get through, and that's how we're going to continue to get through. Although this government made a promise early on in the pandemic to have people's backs. And that's what we did during the pandemic. That's also what we're doing now, particularly with investments in childcare, to cut childcare costs in half, get them to $10 a day in the coming years, right across the country. That's a big thing that's going to make everything more affordable for so many families. We're also moving forward on more support for seniors, more support for young people, more support for families through the Canada Child Benefit that goes up with inflation. These are the kinds of things that we know don't just help people get through, but helps them get ahead, helps build a strong economy. And that's why I'm so pleased to be able to thank you all for being here tonight to support us. All the work that you've done in supporting the Liberal Party, all the faith that you have that this is the path to building a better future is really, really important. And getting involved in politics by coming out to a political event tonight is not easy. It's a time of a lot of divisions and some anger and some polarization in politics. And to choose to step up and support and to say you want to be part of building your country forward, well, that's a really important thing. And I'm deeply grateful to you all. But I'm not surprised. Because your community, the Chinese Canadian community, has always been ferocious about building a better future for yourselves, for your families, for your neighborhood, for your country. Whether it's as small business leaders or big business leaders, whether it's people working in the healthcare sector or people just being the backbone of strong communities right across the country, the Chinese Canadian community has contributed extraordinarily to the growth and success of Canada. And that's why the episodes we've seen over these past 2 years of anti-Asian racism and hatred that have been on the rise are so unacceptable. Because this is a community that has always put hard work to build Canada at the forefront of everything you've done. And we need to make sure that everyone is standing up for you. Because an attack against Asian Canadians isn't just an attack on Asian Canadians. It's an attack on all Canadians, on our values of openness, respect, diversity, a willingness to work hard, but a desire to be there for each other at the same time. These are the things that make Canada strong. These are the positive things we need to continue to focus on. It's very easy right now to look at all sorts of challenges and things going wrong and bad in the world and say, oh, it's just all bad. But that's not what this community does, and that's not what Canadians do. Canadians roll up their sleeves and they get to work. And they build a better future, and they lean on each other, and we figure out ways through the difficult times. And that's exactly what we're going to do, and with all of your support, what we're going to be able to keep doing. Because over the coming years, yes, there are going to be more challenges. But at the same time, I know there's nothing that can be thrown at us as a country that we can't overcome when we're there for each other, when we stay positive and hopeful about the future we're going to build, and we roll up our sleeves and get to work. And that's exactly what we're going to keep doing together with extraordinary MPs like Paul and all of you supporting. Merci beaucoup, mes amis. Xie, thank you very much for being here. Now I think we have time for a few pictures if any of you guys want some. Paul?
Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister. 谢谢大家。我们现在来开始照相。我们从这边开始，说是。